Come on in. It's Epiphany. Tanya, welcome to my channel. Going live. All the way live. This is what we doing. But I might just get to it because I only have a little bit of time today. I didn't start this live until I am almost at my destination. Got a little bit of a longer destination because I have moved at least 10 minutes away. So I'm driving at least 10 extra minutes. So anyway, and I'm at that 10-minute mark. So here we go. I was just, as I was on my drive today, I was thinking about racism for some reason. And I was like, Jesse Lee Peterson, he always says racism doesn't exist. And I used to have an issue with that because I was like, well, I've experienced racism in my life. I know that it exists, right? Even though by the grace of God, I've been able to overcome it in a lot of ways. I don't necessarily think it's held me back per se, even though there have been firings I've had of jobs that I believe were related to it, all types of things. But it just hit me today as I was driving, the reason why a Jesse Lee Peterson or someone like him would say that it doesn't exist. Because I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to get you to get that out of your mind, not make that a thing, right? It's almost like psyching yourself out. Because the more, or not even just the more, but yes, the more you focus on it, or even if you do focus on it, whether you focus on it or the more you focus on it, it does become this weight, like a milestone around your neck. It becomes this thing where it can hold you back. Even the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if your focus is on something that you have absolutely no control over, something that somebody else is doing outside of yourself or feeling or thinking, right? You're worried about what the next person is thinking about you, right? That they're saying, oh, you're not good enough because you're this color. Then where do you go with that? Because again, that's not something you have any control over. All it can do is put you in a victimhood mindset. All it does is put you in a victim status, victim mindset. And so that right there alone in itself is going to hold you back because that's your focus. And so it just hit me today. It was like, even if racism does exist, who cares? It's almost like the mantra I always use, which is, who cares what they think? Who cares what they think? Who cares if someone is racist to you? How is that going to harm you? Again, we live in probably one of the most freest countries on the planet. And why is that? Because there have been laws that are passed that people can't openly discriminate against you and get away with it. They can't, some people might be trying to do some underhanded things, but they can't openly, they can't. Anyway, so that was an interruption by my phone. But somebody could be underhandedly trying to discriminate against you, but we live in a country where laws have been passed where they can't get away with that. The majority of the people, I want to say 90%, 93, 94, whatever the statistic is, majority of the people are not racist at heart. Majority of the people are not thinking about you more. to top it all off, they're not even thinking about you. That's our problem as people. We always think that somebody else is thinking. People got their own life and their own problems. They're not even thinking about who you are, what you got going on, whether you're good enough or not, whether your skin color matters to them. And even if that is a fleeting thought, which for a lot of people it could be a fleeting thought, because you got to realize any kind of judgment against another person is a lower level brain functioning. So when we make snap judgments like that, you look at somebody and you automatically make an assumption about them. Well, that's just an easier way of processing things, to just jump to a conclusion. And so you can even look at it that way instead of focusing on something that's going to limit you, because you're even focused on our mind and our thoughts. The moment when it's not even like, who cares? Who cares what they think? I can go and do anything that any other color person can do. Any white person, any Hispanic person, any race, you name it. Like, what is it that's holding me back? What is it that's stopping me or you, anybody that has a different color skin? So anyway, that was my thought that I was thinking today as I was driving home on my extra 10-minute drive that I have now. It was just talking about I was just thinking about why some people are like, racism doesn't exist. And I used to get so upset and bent out of shape about that, because I was like, well, I've experienced job losses and they couldn't explain to me why they were letting me go, because I know my performance was spectacular, exceeding my coworkers, and they couldn't explain it. So I was like, oh, it must be racism, right? That was the conclusion I would jump to. But now I know why a person like Jesse Lee Peterson would say it's no such thing. Because the moment when you make that into a factor, something you have absolutely no control over, is the moment you become a victim. So whether it exists or not, it really doesn't matter. The only thing that exists is, what do you think about yourself? How do you see you? Whether you like you or not, whether you accept yourself or not. You got to also know this. This is another thing. If anybody says anything negative about you, if anybody has a negative thought or word or opinion, I wish these people stop calling my phone. If they have a negative thought or opinion, it can't take shape or hold. The only way it can take shape or hold is if it's something already in you that agrees with it. Anytime someone says something, the only way you feel an emotion or a hurt feeling is if you already had that thought in your mind, and what they said connected to your thoughts and your beliefs that you had about yourself. It has no power over you unless you already think that way. Unless you think that way about yourself, no one can say anything that could really bring you down. This is why it's people that say stuff and it doesn't bother some people. Why? Because they don't think that way about themselves. You can call somebody stupid. If they know they're not stupid, they're not going to respond. They're not going to care. They're not going to be bothered by you saying that about them. So anyway, I am at my destination. So that was my comment today. Was why I'm starting to understand why people don't believe that racism exists. And now I see why. Because it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. And that is all. This is Epiphany Tanya. Thanks for watching.